Okay, hello, welcome to the channel. My name is Victor. This is going to be a series for website designers, for developers, software engineers. So if you intend to start building up a website, if you intend to become a developer, if you intend to become a website designer, so this video is for you. Most of the times you get to wonder, how can I build a website? What are different ways you can get started in building a website? So there are quite a lot of ways that you can get going when it comes to putting up a website. So there are free ways to deploy a website. There are paid ways to deploy a website. Some ways you can build a website, it's going to be easy, it's going to be fast. In some cases, the difficulty level, it's kind of at times very easy, then at times very, very difficult. So if you want to build from scratch, if you want to use a platform to build, if you want to go the route of AI, how do you intend to do that? So in this video, I'm going to look at all the different ways that you can possibly have a website up and running. So I have a simple chart here and I'm going to explain it. And I'm going to have this as a first part in a series. In this series, I'm going to explain everything. Then in the second part, I'm going to pick the platform one after the other, or the method one after the other, and demonstrate how from start to finish you can have the website up and running. On my channel also, I have a comprehensive playlist on how to use some of these categories or methods to build a website, and I'm going to point them out, and I'm going to put those playlists on the description or in the description. Now, look at complete comparison of website building methods. So we want to compare different ways that websites can be built. Look at, I have a legend here. You have, anytime you see one, it means easy and beginner friendly. Anytime you see two, it means medium difficulty. Anytime you see three, what I mean here is that it's going to be very complex and you might need it to be a developer to actually set up a website that way. Then anytime you see 0.5 to 2.5, it means that that particular approach is a hybrid approach. That's to say that it can be difficult, it can be easy, depending on what you are doing. Now let's look at the very first way you can build a website. I remember 18-20 years ago, this is one way that I started building websites. So one is Blogger, you have Wix, you have WordPress.com, you have Webflow, you have Framer AI, you have CAD, you have Striking, you have Drupal AI. Any of these ways are examples, tools on how to get a website up and running very, very easy. Now, if you want to build a website using Blogger, so if you want to build a website using Blogger, you just go to blogspot.com and you get the process on and going. Like I said, in this particular video, I will focus on explaining all of the different ways on how to do it. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you like this video so that when I release the demonstration for each of the different methods, you can get onto track. Now, Wix is also another website that you could use to build a website. Take for instance, if you just go to wix.com, right, you could get a website up and running in minutes. That's how you can build a website using a page builder. At times they have a pricing model. That's to say that when you start building your website, it's free, completely free. Let's say your name is Victor, so they will give you something like victor.wix.com. So any website that you see that have a subdomain, kind of something.something.com, it means that it's actually a subdomain or it's part of a website or it was given free. Another way is blogspot.com, right? If you go to blogspot.com, you could have a website up and running. So they just need you Blogspot. Let me just go to Google and search for that app. So Google Blogspot. So okay, it's actually blogger.com, but each one that you create is called a spot. So you could create a simple blog, you could customize it. I remember one of my very first websites, I think 16 years ago now, built it using Blogspot. When I start doing the practical hands-on session for each of these different methods, I'm going to demonstrate to you how you can actually set that up and running. All you just need to click is click create a blog. Once you click on that, you could put up the name you want and you're good to go. You must have a Google account. Another one is Webflow. Webflow is so powerful, and Webflow, for even advanced designers, they can actually use Webflow to set up their websites. You could create custom. If you're a UI UX designer, this is one very nice tool you also want to get familiar with, because you could use that to actually create a website. Now, let me discuss when it comes to the ease of use. So when it comes to using Blogspot or Blogger or Wix or WordPress, even WordPress have two types. WordPress have WordPress.com. They also have WordPress.org. So somebody can be using WordPress.com, but is using the free WordPress. So WordPress.com is the free WordPress. This is WordPress.com. That's the free WordPress, right? You could start building up a website very, very easy, very, very simple. Then you also have WordPress.org. That's what you call self-hosted website. So anytime you have a hosting account, you purchase a hosting account, or anytime you use cloud hosting, either AWS, GCP, or use Alibaba cloud services, any of those cloud services, and you intend to host WordPress, then you're going to be using WordPress.org. WordPress is a very powerful CMS. You could use it to deploy typically anything, except when you need to do custom development, right? So if you want to start building, you just say start building, you put your name or the name of the website you want to set up, and you're going to have something like the name.wordpress.com. Don't worry, I'll demonstrate all of this. Now, the next item is going to be collaboration. So here, when I mean collaboration, I mean, how will it be easy for you to finish building up a website and somebody else can co-create with you? Now, back in the days, building websites, when we used to use this number 2 item, that is design softwares, IDs, and GUI tools, it was not so easy for you to collaborate. Even online servers didn't have the capability for you to upload your website and you develop right on the platform. These days is 100% possible. These days you have cloud services. These days you have hosting panel, cPanel, that even when you upload your website, you can edit the script right online and you can publish them. 15, 20, 30 years ago, it was not that way. You need to use, let's say, a tool like Dreamweaver, Coffee Cup. You need to use a tool, develop your website. Once you're done develop your website, you upload it. If you need to make edits to that website, you must have a copy of that website. Back then, it used to be floppy, then CD drives. The other developer will need to have that copy, then download it to his system, do the edits, and push it online. So a lot of things have changed now, so it's very, very easy for you to, like 3, 4, 5 persons to be working on the website together. But in collaboration here, if you're using something like Wix, Blogger, WordPress, it's very easy for you to collaborate, in the sense that most of these platforms are web-based platforms. So you could create multiple users on the platform so that everybody can co-create. You can have an admin. Let's say for a news blog, you can have somebody in China, somebody in Amsterdam, somebody in UK, somebody in South Africa, somebody in Nigeria. So many people can actually work on the website together. You just need to create user accounts and you are good to go. Now, when it comes to scaling, now you might say, yes, it's very easy for me to build a website using Blogger, Wix, WordPress, and all of that. But what about if your client tells you that I need a certain kind of customization? Will it be easy for you to do that? The answer is almost impossible. I can tell you that from over 2 decades building websites. It's going to be practically, let's say a customer or a client tells you, okay, I need to a custom script that is going to be able to do this, is able to do this. I want when users log in, they can do this, they can do that. I want to create a wallet system. My brother, my sister, practically almost difficult to do. So that's one thing you need to note when you're trying to use this method to build a website. Then ease of deployment, so fast, you just finish building your website, you upload, and you're good to go. Now, how long can it take you to build your website? I can bet you in minutes. Over the years, if I intend to teach kids how to set up simple websites, at times, if you don't have so much time, this is one method you can use in teaching them how to design websites. Now, what kind of examples can you build for this? So you have personal blogs, you have small business websites, you have portfolio, you have small scale business websites. Okay, so the very next way we can design our website is using GUI software. So, like I said, a lot of people don't use this method again to design their websites, but most people use code editors or integrated development environments, that's IDEs. So, but when it comes to design softwares like Adobe Dreamweaver, Coffee Cup, it's not really too much in use these days, except some of the old school guys that we actually build websites that way. Most people now, we use IDEs, Visual Studio Code, Sublime Text, Notepad++. Notepad++ is also for some of the old guys. These are some of the very first set of IDEs that came up. So most people will use this particular method, right? Okay, so when it comes to, for this one, so when it comes to ease of use for using a GUI, so uh, it's two, right? Because the thing is that you have to first learn how to use the software. When you learn how to use the software, then before you can also learn how to build, right? So aside you learning how to use maybe HTML, CSS, JavaScript, PHP, Python, whatever, aside doing that, you must learn how to use the website design GUI software. So you say, let's say Adobe Dreamweaver, Coffee Cup, right? Coffee Cup HTML editor, Coffee Cup software. I used this like so many years ago. People don't use this again. I can tell you that for sure, except, like I said, the old school guys. So these are website design tools that can be used to, back then I think it used to be pretty free. They had the premium version. So all you just need to do is to download the software to your system, then you can use it to build. Once you're done, you can bundle the entire software, then you can ship to your client, or you can upload to the hosting company. I think now they also offer some form of hosting and all of that. So for Adobe, same thing, you could have a tool that you could do all your development within that environment. So what's now common these days is for people to use IDEs. It's for people to use integrated development environments like Visual Studio Code, right? So this is what I use. So if you want to get to start building websites, especially at your very first beginning, you want to use a tool like Visual Studio Code. So this is a very nice tool that you can use to do all of your development. You save, then you can now push online. So for IDs, you have two. Collaboration, fairly easy, kind of medium. In terms of scaling, now if you're using a code editor, you can when it comes to scaling, it's practically hard. You need to be a developer to be able to do that. So when we mean scaling, what do we mean? A client says, okay, can you do a user management system for me? Can you do a wallet system for me? Can you integrate some kind of APIs into the tool, into this website? Can you do this? Can you do that? To do that, you need to be a developer. We're going to discuss that. So that's why I said 3. It's a little bit hard, because most of the times you're going to be building from scratch. Even when you use a template, you're going to be doing a lot of heavy lifting. You're going to be doing a lot of editing. Now, when it comes to ease of deployment, you have 2, medium. Now, if you want to use IDs, what kind of websites will you be building using any of these? So more basic websites, designers who prefer visual layout control, especially if you want to do a lot of tweaking, you want to use those design softwares, right? But if you're using a code editor, it might be you're building from scratch, or you're just very new and you're using do some HTML, CSS, and some JavaScript. Now let's move to the next one, building from scratch. Now most people say, I'm building from scratch, I'm building from scratch. Did you build the website from scratch and all of that? For you to be able to understand this, you need to understand that practically there is nothing new under heaven. Yes, you see, a lot of people will say, okay, I'm going to be coding everything from my head. That is going to depend on how much time you have. What's the budget of the project? If the project is under $200, $300, $400, most of the times you're going to be using a CMS, you're going to be using a template, then you're going to be tweaking that and now develop that into something bigger or something custom for the client. If you have a budget $1,000 above, that is when you have, of course, you have 3, 4, 5, 6 months. That's when you have quite a lot of time to build a whole lot of things from the scratch, even though you might be using some frameworks. I'm going to explain what a framework is. So if you are building from scratch, most importantly, it means that you can use a programming language. It means you can use either PHP, Python, Java, C#, ASP, Node.js, that's a JavaScript framework, Ruby, Go, Rust. You can use any of these languages. And when it comes to ease of use, it's developer level, it's complex. So the first thing, if you want to build a website using any of this programming language, you should first learn the language. When we get into further series of these ways to design a website, I'm going to explain to you your best approach in learning any language. So if you're enjoying this series, don't forget to like. You can share to as many persons that are interested in getting to do web design, web development. Then you can ask questions in the comment section and tell me what you want me to do in subsequent series. Now, collaboration is a little bit here or there because you're building from scratch, you can actually develop the platform or the management system to aid collaboration. That's to say, when you build your portal, you build your software, you could create a user management system within your software so that you could have super admin, you can have an admin, you can have a user, you can have different types of user, and you give them rights, privileges, and you can give them different access control because you're doing everything from scratch. So you have full control. In terms of scaling and improving, very, very difficult, very, very hard, but 100% possible because you have full control. So anytime a client meets me and tells me, okay, I need a website, the question is going to be, what kind of website do you want to build? How much time do you have? What's the budget? So if that website is a very simplistic website, a simple blog, a simple small business website, the person needs it in like 1, 2, 3 weeks, of course, this is not what you're going to be using to build that website. You're actually going to be using any of these 2 or 3 above that. But if somebody meets me and says, okay, I need a website, I want it to cover, let's say, my employee management system, the salaries, the inventory of the office, our cash flow. So you see, you're typically building a management system. And what do you call a management system? Any software that's going to help you manage business processes. And what do you call business processes? The day-to-day runnings of that business. If it's a healthcare institution, if it's a hospital, so things like registry, customer data, drugs, that's the pharmacy, the lab, the doctor, the patient. If you intend to manage all of that, so basically you want to have full control. That's not something you develop in just 20 days or 30 days or 60 days. It's going to take you a longer time to develop. Then you need to have full control. It's not something you want to purchase a template, you want to buy a small script. No, it's not going to work. You need to have full control. So you need to plan. You go through the process of doing requirements gathering, maybe by your BA, UML, front end, before even front end design, you do the UI UX, then front end design, then you give to the client signs off, then you code, then you deploy, then you do quality assurance. On the channel too, I have a video that addresses everything that has to do with building this website from start to finish. The functions, the roles of a project manager, a business analyst, a UI UX designer, and all of that. So I also drop that video in the description so that if you're planning to build a website, you need to understand what does it take, who is involved, what are their different roles. So if you're building from scratch, scaling is going to be very difficult, but very, very possible. Now you see the period, the time to build, it's pretty a long time. So you have 1 to 2, at times 3 months, at times 6 months, depending on the complexity of the project. Now, examples of real-world websites like the Facebook, most management systems, most portals are built using this method. And these are for experienced developers, right? For full stack developers. I've also addressed the different stack, the LAMP stack, main stack, and the different other stacks in a separate video. I will drop the link in the description. Now look at another method you can use to design a website. So that category is called content management system. So when you say content management system, don't forget I've talked about management system. So you see, if you want to build your own management system, then you can be exploring this. But if you want to use a management system that is also very powerful but not built by you, then you can now start exploring content management system. There are quite a lot of them. You have WordPress, you have Joomla, you have Drupal, you have Magento, you have Craft SCMS, you have Ghost, you have Typo3, you have PHP BB, you have SMF, you have so many of them. And they are geared towards different kinds of websites. If you intend to create a portal that will do e-commerce, you could do Shopify, you could do WordPress e-commerce. If you want to do a robust e-learning system, you could do Module, right? So let me just add that, Module. Then SMF, if you want to do a forum, PHP BB, if you want to do a forum. So most forums you see around, they are built using this method. Now you can see, if you want to build a very comprehensive website, you see most schools, banks, institutions of governments, what they will do is that the front facing section of the website, they are going to do that using CMS. The back portal, the back end of the website, they are going to use from scratch. So that creates a kind of balance to ensure that it's easy for them to manage, it's easy for them to do collaboration, it's easy for them to deploy very, very fast, right? And they can also have the backend portal also in progress. Like most schools, most banks, most institutions of government, their front end is going to be either Joomla or WordPress. At times, they can have Drupal do that. If it's an e-commerce, they can have Magento do that. So that in terms of posting content, having a very flashy, nice front end and whatever, it's easy. Anybody can be able to do that within few weeks. Now, but the section that will manage the business processes, the day-to-day runnings of the enterprise, they want to use this method, right? So examples of websites, you have BBC, you have The Economics, you have Nick or Nike. Now you have different world global websites built using CMSs. Now in the channel, I made a video that have 21 videos, or rather 21 websites that are built using WordPress, world-class websites. I'm also going to do another video that will address Joomla, top 20 websites built with Joomla, top 20 websites built with Drupal, built with Magento. I'm going to do videos on that. So I will drop the link of the video that addresses top websites built using WordPress. A lot of news websites, enterprise websites, school websites, government institutions, their websites are built using Drupal website or WordPress. Okay, now let's move on. Headless CMS API based. Now, this is going to be for somebody that have started doing website design for some time, then you want to take it a notch higher. You could explore this. So you have Strapi, you have Sanity, you have Contentful, but this is going to be based on an API. What's API? API is Application Programmable Interface. It's a way to build a website, but you're piggybacking on another website, right? So if you start doing backend, if you start doing programming, using programming languages to build, once you get to the advanced stages of your learning, you will start encountering APIs. Because take for instance, you want to do an API. Sorry, you want to build an e-commerce website. The payment gateway is not owned by you. You're going to be using a payment processor. That's when you need to plug in and collect data from somewhere else. You want to build a mobile app, but you have a web version. The web version built by you or not built by you, but for separation of concerns, you have a mobile version, but you're going to be piggybacking from the web version. That's to say that if I have an account on the web version, I can still sign into the mobile version and I'm going to see the same thing. So that's where you start using APIs. So anytime, this is ideal for anytime you want to build multi-channel apps, scalable apps, mobile content like what I explained. If you want to have mobile tablet and you want to also have web version, or you also want to have other people use your own portal to deploy their stuff, you will need to use an API. Now let's move to front-end frameworks. Now, the first thing you want to learn if you want to get started in web design, web development, it's HTML, CSS, JavaScript. That's the very first thing you want to get to learn at the beginning. Now, once you're done with that, you can move forward to start learning how to use front-end frameworks. Now, we say the front-end languages are HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. These are the three front-end languages. You have HTML that addresses the formatting. So we say hypertext markup language to address formatting, to address bold, underline, tables, forms. Those basic content sorting out and arranging you have on the website is handled by HTML. Now, when it comes to CSS handles the styling. So it's called CSS, Cascading Style Sheet. So that addresses everything that has to do with your color, your view, your hover, some of those color and view and styling that you have on the website. That's addressed by that. Then the third one is JavaScript. So JavaScript helps for interactivity. So anytime you see that pop-up, you see that slide, you see that interaction, you see that validation, you fill a form, it tells you, oh, you didn't fill your number, you didn't fill the email, please go back and fill that. All those validation, you can do that. Document object model, you can handle that using JavaScript. Once you finish learning these three basic things, now you see this front end, it also have it has what we call framework. So what's a framework? A framework is a way we can build a website and we don't need to do all of the HTML, CSS, JavaScript again. We can just use something that have this bundled. One of the first ones you want to learn, if you're new, if you finish learning your HTML, CSS, JavaScript, is Bootstrap. So Bootstrap is a powerful HTML, CSS, JavaScript framework. What does it do for you? Instead of building and coding your HTML and CSS from scratch, you can use Bootstrap, but you have to learn your HTML and CSS first. And you can use Bootstrap to fast track. That's why it's called Bootstrap. It's to bootstrap, it's to fast track, it's to facilitate, it's to make easier your building your website. Then you have React. This is a JavaScript framework. You have Vue, you have Svelte, you have Tailwind CSS. That's a CSS framework. You have Alpine, you have Foundation. Now, if you want to get started, the very simplest one you should start with is Bootstrap. Then you can now move over to React, then Vue. Or when it comes to ease of learning, it's Bootstrap, Vue, React, then Angular is the is the will I say the hardest, or it needs a lot of time from you. It's maintained by Google. React is maintained by Facebook. Vue, it's I think a little bit generalistic in terms of the sponsors and who owns it. I know it's by some group of guys, but I know React is Facebook, Angular, Google, and that's that. Now, if you need to build interactive apps, dashboards, single page applications, then you want to do that, right? Okay, yes, it's even here. You have React, Facebook, you have Google, the pioneer the Angular, then you have GitLab, Vue. Then backend framework. So these are front-end frameworks. So when it comes to backend frameworks, you're looking at the programming language, then you now want to look at the framework. So a framework is like predefined functions, predefined stuff already done for you. So you don't need to build everything from your head. You already have it there. If you want to do a nav bar, you don't need to start coding a nav bar by yourself. You have a nav bar, you can pick that up and customize. That's what the framework does for you. You want to create a login system. You don't need to start creating putting your name, putting your password, click here. No, you don't need to do that. That's already done for you. You just pick that, you customize. That's what the framework does for you. You want to do a forgot password system, or you want to do some kind of stuff, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. At times we call that dry programming. We say do not repeat yourself. DRY. Don't repeat yourself. So that's backend framework. So you do that if you need to do scalable web apps. So if you intend to build a system that is going to grow very, very big and huge, right, like an enterprise system, then you want to explore framework. So each language have different frameworks. Like PHP have Laravel, CodeIgniter, you have Symfony, you have a lot of them. Django, Python, you have Django, you have Flask, you have different frameworks by Python. Then PHP have its own framework. Then JavaScript have its own framework. Then Java have its own framework. So what's going to be your approach when you want to learn? So the first thing I do tell beginners is, first, master your HTML, CSS, JavaScript, then Bootstrap. Those 3-4 things, you want to master it first. Once you're done with that, pick any CMSs, Joomla, Drupal, WordPress, any of them, just pick one, right? And if you go by in terms of popularity, what's the most popular CMS that we have in the market? It's WordPress. So you pick WordPress, you learn how to use WordPress to do basic things. Once you're done with that, the next thing you want to now do is to decide whether you want to build for web, whether you want to build for mobile, or whether you want to build for whether you want to build for desktop. These are the 3 different areas that you can focus on. And also, if you want to build for small businesses, or if you want to build for enterprise businesses, that will now tell your approach. So you can drop a comment and let me know what your interests are. Then we can find a middle ground on what might be your best bet in terms of what your actual path should be. But I normally recommend students to first learn basic frontend. Even if you want to do backend, you need to be able to interact with your front-end engineers, understand what you are doing, and be able to pick what they've done and now scale and code whatever you are coding. Now you have no code, low code builders, or we say no code or low code. So that's to say that we're not going to be doing any code in any way. We don't want to code. We don't want to do anything that has to. We just want to do a lot of drag and drop, and we just want to have a website up and running. So you could explore Bubble, Glide, Software, Webflow, Type Dream, Tilda, and all of that, right? So if you want to build something, even WordPress can be in this category. Bootstrap. You know that for Bootstrap, you will need to understand basic HTML, CSS, JavaScript stuff. So if you just want to do something very simple, you don't need to code. Even Wix come in here, Webflow comes in here. You could just go there, register an account, and create something very, very simplistic. Subsequently, I will do a short video that will explain how you can build a very simplistic website like in 10 minutes using no code or AI. So don't forget to follow up. Then you also have static site generators. Static site generators. So these ones, what they can do is that they can build a simplistic front-end website for you, generated without you doing any code, right? But majorly front-end. So if you're trying to do blog, portfolio, you want to do documentation, you want to just create very, very fast-loading website, you can explore that. Then you also have, we are in the age of AI, so you also have AI-powered websites. So that's where you have Hostinga AI. Most hosting platforms, they have this. They have a way for you to like prototype, for you to build a very simplistic website very, very fast. Then you have e-commerce. So if e-commerce is something you want to go into, you want to be building small e-commerce websites or large-scale enterprise e-commerce website, all you just need to learn is basic HTML, CSS, JavaScript, or HTML, CSS, Bootstrap. You can jump right to e-commerce platforms: Shopify, WooCommerce, BigCommerce, Wix e-commerce, Squarespace, PrestaShop. I used PrestaShop way back. These guys have been there for a very long time. Even before WooCommerce. WooCommerce is a WordPress system. So if you're trying to build online stores, drop shipping, retail brands, then you can go for these systems. Then we have what we call progressive web apps. So these progressive web apps are based on frameworks, right? They are based on frameworks. So especially if you want to build a hybrid or a mobile app application, and also some kind of apps that you want them to run even when they are offline, or some of these tools or applications that even when the person is offline, the person can still read, and when they are online, it can pick up API signals and load. Like this morning, today is a Sunday, I was in church. You see, when it's time for hymnals, they say, okay, let us open to hymn so and so. Most churches will have apps, like your Bible app, like your hymn app, like your maybe some tutorial apps. They have it in such a way that there was a time we built internally, we built some apps for some laws in my country, Nigeria. So you want that person to have that app. Let's say is a anti-terrorism app, is a cybersecurity crime act or law app. You want the person to have that app offline. But when the person is online, you want the person to be able to see things like notification or ads or stuff like that. Or you have a Bible or a hymnal app, or you have a tutorial app. You want the person to be able to open that app, read the content. Then if the person is online, the person can sync some content online, or the person can log in and have some features. When you want to create such kind of stuff, you want to use progressive web apps. Then you have enterprise cloud-based apps. So one thing you can do after you've done with your HTML, CSS, JavaScript, you've decided whether you want to build enterprise e-commerce systems, you want to build for small businesses, you want to build, or you want to become a backend engineer, or you want to be a full stack engineer, depending on what you've decided to do. There comes a time when whatever you're building, it's not be possible for you to host them in regular hosting websites. That's where cloud comes in. So you see somebody says, I want to become a DevOps engineer. I want to become a cloud developer. What it means is that you don't build websites for just small businesses. That app, that website, that software have customers that are in their millions. So you cannot deploy that in a regular hosting website. Like any hosting website you can think about. You want to deploy that in a cloud enterprise system. So you're going to be using any of the big threes, the AWS, GCP, or what's the name again? Azure by Microsoft. Any of these three guys, or IBM or Alibaba, these are cloud platforms that can host enterprise applications that have customer base or have users in their millions. The reason is that they are scalable. So it doesn't make sense for you to say, okay, I just want to be a cloud developer. You need to pay your dues by understanding some of these basics, then before you start deploying to the cloud. So if you want to start deploying to the cloud, simple things, your path is going to be something like HTML, CSS, JavaScript. You could pick Bootstrap, you could pick one or two of the CMSs, or you can leave out the CMSs. You could just go for backend. From there, you can now go to cloud, any of the cloud providers. So things you're going to be learning or familiar with is going to be AWS Amplify, it's going to be Firebase, it's going to be Vercel, it's going to be Netlify, it's going to be Azure Static Web Page, it's going to be Google Cloud Run. Linux is one thing also you want to be familiar with, because when you come to the cloud, you're going to be using Linux a lot. So this is when you want to build cloud native or scalable modern web applications. Then lastly, you have modern hybrid apps. You have Node.js, you have Nox, you have Astro, you have Netlify CMS, you have Sanity. So this is for high performance modular. So this is optional. This is something you want to look at. Now, these are my recommendations. If you're a beginner, no code, where do you start with? Even if you want to use Wix, WordPress, Framer AI, or AI, I bet you can't make the best use of that if you don't understand the big or the small threes, the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. You want to have a basic intermediate level knowledge of these three guys. Now, intermediate, you want to start using CMSs, frameworks like Bootstrap, WordPress, Webflow, Tailwind CSS. That's what you want to learn. At developer level, that's when you can start picking whether you want to be a front-end engineer, a back-end engineer, or whether you want to build cloud apps. Then for entrepreneurs, for startup, for project managers, for UX designers, what should you be learning? Shopify, Bubble, Webflow, because it can help you picking your Figma designs and bring them for developers to build. Okay, I think that's the end of this series. So let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know your questions, and subsequently I'm going to start picking them one after the other, and we're going to build small websites that can help you know what the experience looks like. Thank you very much, and see you in the next one.